They said he was too old. They said he didn't belong. When Ethan Walker walked into that boot camp, holding his duffel bag and wearing a faded smile, the young recruits laughed, 17 of them. They mocked the wrinkles around his eyes, his gray-streaked hair, and the way he moved like he'd already seen too much. But when the female commander stepped in and her eyes caught the tattoo on his arm, everything changed. The laughter stopped. The room went silent. Because that tattoo wasn't just ink, it was a symbol that even she stood up straight for. Stay with me till the end, because this story will remind you that experience isn't weakness, and that sometimes, the quietest man in the room carries the loudest story of all. The sun hung heavy over Fort Ridge training camp, burning against the rows of new recruits lined up on the field. It was day one, loud, sweaty, full of shouting sergeants and nervous laughter. Among them stood Ethan Walker, 41 years old, single father, and veteran. His uniform fit differently, a little tighter across the shoulders, sleeves rolled up just enough to reveal scars that weren't from training exercises. He had joined not as a new recruit but as a re-enlistment trainee, hoping to rejoin the reserve unit after years away. He wasn't chasing glory anymore, he was chasing stability for his daughter, Sophie, a 12-year-old girl waiting back home in a small rented apartment. When the recruits noticed him, the laughter started almost immediately. "Hey, Grandpa, you lost?" "Bingo nights that way," one shouted. Another smirked. "You sure you can handle push-ups, old man?" Ethan smiled faintly, not rising to the bait. He'd been through worse: bullets, loss, silence. This? Just noise. But their laughter drew attention. The female commander, Captain Aria Steele, stepped out from her office, boots hitting the ground like a drumbeat. She was known for being sharp, fearless, and fair, one of the youngest captains ever promoted in the Corps. "Recruits," she barked. "If you've got time to joke, you've got time to train. Drop and give me 20. Everyone scrambled to the ground, even Ethan. His form was perfect. Controlled breathing. Straight spine. No trembling. Captain Steele's eyes paused on him. She could tell instantly this wasn't his first push-up, or his first command. When they stood again, one recruit whispered just loud enough for others to hear, "Maybe he's here because he couldn't cut it the first time." Ethan turned, his tone calm but cutting. "You're right. I didn't cut it the first time. I got out alive." The smirk faded from the young man's face. Training went on. Obstacle courses, drills, mental tests, Ethan kept up with them all. He wasn't the fastest, but he never gave up. He helped others. He encouraged the ones struggling, even the ones who laughed at him. That night, as the recruits sat in the barracks, one of them noticed a faded tattoo on Ethan's shoulder as he changed shirts. It was small, an eagle clutching a dagger with a banner reading sign Perry. "Hey, what's that?" "Some old biker club," one recruit mocked. Ethan looked at him, a flicker of old pain and pride in his eyes. "No. It's the motto of the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta. Delta Force." They laughed again, not because it was funny, but because they didn't believe him. "Yeah, right. You expect us to believe you were Delta?" Ethan said nothing more. He just lay down on his bunk and closed his eyes. But the next morning, things would change forever. Morning came early, 0500 hours. Captain Steele called everyone out to the field for a surprise endurance challenge. The recruits groaned. The test was brutal, crawling under barbed wire, carrying weighted packs, and sprinting through mud. One by one, recruits started falling behind. Ethan, though slower, stayed steady. He helped a young soldier named Rivera who had twisted his ankle halfway through. "Go on," Rivera groaned. "You'll lose time." Ethan shook his head. "Not leaving anyone behind. Not today." He slung the recruit's arm over his shoulder and trudged on, both of them finishing dead last. Captain Steele approached, hands on her hips. "You're late," she said. Ethan just nodded. "But we're both here." Something in her tone softened, almost imperceptibly. "Dismissed," she said quietly. Later that afternoon, Captain Steele walked into the training hall to find Ethan fixing the ropes after the recruits had left. His jacket was off, and for the first time, she saw the full tattoo on his back, wings wrapped around a skull, with numbers below it, coordinates. Her breath caught. She stepped closer. Those numbers. Kandahar? Ethan froze. Turned. Yeah. You were there? She nodded slowly. Not then. But I read the reports. There was a Delta operator single-handedly evacuated 6 injured soldiers after an ambush in the valley. No one ever confirmed his name. Ethan's eyes dropped. Names didn't matter back then. The realization hit her. That was you, wasn't it? He said nothing. Just kept coiling the rope. She straightened, voice carrying quiet respect. At ease, Sergeant Walker. The sound of that title, spoken again after so many years, made him pause. It had been a long time since anyone called him that. The next day, during weapons drill, the young recruits were restless again. One of them made another joke, throwing a snide remark about the old guy with war stories. Before Ethan could respond, Captain Steele's voice cut through the air like thunder. Recruit! You stand down right now. The entire platoon froze. She walked right up to Ethan and turned to the others. You all think you know what toughness looks like? You think it's your biceps, your boots, your loud mouths? Let me tell you something. This man, this so-called old man, has worn the patch you dream of earning. He's bled for every one of you before you were even in uniform. The recruits stared in stunned silence. She pointed at his tattoo. You see that mark? That's Delta Force. It's not a decoration. It's a legacy. The kind that never fades. The air was thick with silence. Some of the recruits looked away, ashamed. One stepped forward quietly and saluted Ethan. Another followed. Ethan looked at Captain Steele, humbled. Ma'am, you didn't have to. Yes, I did, she interrupted. Because respect isn't given here. It's earned. And you earned it long before any of us put on these uniforms. For the first time since he arrived, Ethan smiled, a quiet, genuine smile. That night, in the barracks, the same recruits who once mocked him now sat around his bunk, listening as he told them about leadership, loss, and what brotherhood really meant. War doesn't make you brave, he said softly. Caring for the person next to you, that's what does. When he finished, one of them asked, why come back? After everything? He looked down at a small photo of Sophie taped inside his locker. Because my daughter deserves to see what it means to never stop serving in any uniform, any way.